Okay, so before I start this speech, I have to give you a little bit of background because this was a briefing that the commission I run gave to City Council. But before I go into it, I have to tell you that that Seattle has an overarching goal for the city to maintain the existing trees we have, and in fact increase our canopy from 22 to 30% for the within 27 years. So we're talking about trees, and they take time to grow. Therefore, it may take 27 years to get there. But that is all because our trees within the city, the urban forestry, constitutes a very valuable piece of infrastructure for the city of Seattle. It helps with storm water, so it does some abatement. You can notice that when you're under a tree and it's raining, the rain sometimes doesn't get to you for a long, long time. Well, that tree is doing a service to us, because otherwise we'd have to increase our pipe sizes, and the whole stormwater infrastructure would have to be beefed up if we didn't have as many trees as we do. And if we had more trees, of course, that would do even a better job. The urban forestry could do a better job for us in those terms. But it helps us in terms of pollution as well. It helps us in terms of livability. We have, Seattle is known as the Emerald City, and that is because, it's green most of the time here, but also because we do have quite a bit of trees still in our urban environment, although that is decreasing a little bit with time. So there are a lot of arguments to keep our green infrastructure in place, but we don't have good regulations from the city, good laws that protect our trees. And so the City Council passed a resolution telling the Department of Planning and Development to come up with some laws, some regulations to keep our trees in place, to protect them, and to stimulate growth, people planting them. And so the Department of Planning and Development presented this new ordinance document in front of our commission. So we're the Urban Forestry Commission, who has just been formed a few months ago by City Council to do just this, to review all kinds of regulations that come forward, that come up, that has anything to do with the urban forestry. So we did that. And this is my response to City Council once we reviewed and the ordinance. We had some comments and some concerns. So I'll pretend you're City Council now. All right. So thank you for the opportunity to brief you, City Council, on our comments on DPD's proposal for the new tree regulations, which you've just heard. So they had just this presentation on the regulations, which you don't have the benefit of seeing, but I think you can get from our comments a little bit or enough on that presentation itself. So I make my comments to you today within the context of where we are, the city of Seattle, of where we are today as far as our canopy cover is concerned. We're now at 22% canopy cover in Seattle, and the city has a goal to achieve 30% by the year 2037. So that's 27 years from now. That means that getting there from 22% to 30% will take bold action now. Trees take some time to grow, so we need to be doing things now. But we found, the Urban Forestry Commission believes that DPD's proposal will not take Seattle closer to our canopy goals. I will focus on our comments because you've just heard the proposal being presented, and our comments do tend to be general because we have concerns with the broader strokes of the proposal, not with the details. And as you've heard from the proposal, it depends largely on two flexible credit systems to formulate landscape standards during the development process. So the existing tree green factor system, which applies to multifamily and commercial land, and now now there's this new system that the department is proposing for a tree credit on single-family lots. So from now on, during the development process, most of the city will be regulated, but that's only during the development process. Our concerns, what concerns us most, the commission, is that the proposal's lack of a regulatory strategy for dealing with areas outside of the development process, and then the removal of existing protection for exceptional trees. Those are our main concerns. On any given year, more than 99.5% of Seattle's land area is not subject to the development process. So DPD's proposal deals with only 0.5% of the area in Seattle in any given year. So we find it unacceptable for DPD to abandon all attempts to regulate tree removal on the vast majority of parcels in the city of Seattle. We think that combined, the green factor and the new tree credit system incentives could potentially play a positive role in tree canopy coverage over the next 50 to 200 years, but only if there are mechanisms in place to retain those gains after the development cycle is complete. As it is, the proposed lack of regulation outside development leaves any potential gains achieved through the green factor and the tree credit system entirely unregulated and unprotected once the development process is over. So, you know, this 0.5% they're regulating could be great only if you can hold on to those trees that were protected through those credit systems after they've been saved. But as it's proposed, they're again vulnerable because there's nothing protecting these trees outside the development process. So essentially, the proposal does not align regulations inside and outside development. So one could probably and would probably undermine the effectiveness of the other. So you have to have your regulations just as strong inside development and outside development. Otherwise, like what happens today, developers will clear the land or ask the owner of the land to clear the land before they make the deal, they make the sale. It's because during the development process, they can't do that. But as a landowner, you can. So the Urban Forestry Commission believes that the removal of all tree protection on parcels outside of the development puts this proposal at odds with the spirit of Council Resolution 31138, which instigated this whole process and where City Council clearly sought to enhance tree protection and increase Seattle's urban forestry canopy. So to summarize or to conclude this, the Commission believes that permit options for tree removal on parcels outside development were not adequately explored, and therefore we reiterate our support and encourage further investigation into a permitting system that works. Thank you again for your time and for having us back here.